Today I figured I'd get back to my botanical roots and stop making videos about mushrooms because much as I am obsessed with them, I am a botanist and I do have to talk botany on this page. The plant that we're going to be talking about today is quite a cool one. I'd like you all to give a nice and hearty hello to Chasmanthium latifolium, also called the Northern Wood Oats, the River Oats. It's got some other stupid common names like Indian sea oats. I hold those are stupid common names because, one, this grass is not native to India, it's native to North America, and it's also not native to areas nearby a sea. In fact, we'll talk about the habitat real quick. The habitat of this grass is typically found in like riparian zones. So you'll see this thing a lot on like riverbanks or in like alluvial rich woodlands. Habitats like that are where you're going to find that grass. And with a habitat preference like that, it makes a lot of sense that the Army Corps of Engineers wetland status for this plant, at least for the Midwest region, it kind of differs region to region. But in the Midwest region, it's fac wet, which means that you're typically going to find this in areas that are quite or somewhat hydric. Okay, the we'll talk about the coefficient of conservatism real quick because I like to mention that a lot. The coefficient of conservatism on this plant right here, it's a 7 out of 10. And what exactly does that mean? Well, that basically means that this plant is it's somewhat rare and it's a fairly conservative species. And conservative, as I've said before, in the ecological or botanical sense, means that this is a plant that doesn't fare too well in areas of anthropogenic disturbance and things like that. However, with that said, this plant is becoming increasingly popular in landscaping. I've been noticing this plant a lot in different landscaped areas. For example, I go to school at Purdue Northwest, and I'm actually kind of proud of that fact because it is, you can knock community college if you want to, but I think that makes you an asshole and a stuck-up piece of trash. But Purdue Northwest is a good school, but that's beside the point. The fact of the matter is that I've seen this plant planted in Purdue Northwest landscaping. So it is becoming increasingly popular in landscaping, and that's the reason that it's situated in my backyard at the moment. But it is a beautiful grass, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic. The habit for this species, so like its behavior, I guess you could say, is kind of like synonymous with habit. This is a cespitose and a rhizomatous grass. So cespitose, what does that mean? Cespitose means that, of course, it forms these wonderful, wonderful clumps. And as you can see here, I've got two such clumps. They're kind of getting swamped over by the Urtica dioica right now, but I'm a lazy gardener, so I don't do my weeding like I'm supposed to. And but so we got a clump right here, we got a clump right here, and it's quite rhizomatous because if you cast your eye over this way, you'll note some young ones. You can see that flower head there in the center frame, right? I'm sure you can note that because it is quite a distinctive and quite a beautiful flower head. And we're actually going to talk about that. I mean, like, this grass spreads very, very readily. Like in habitat, for example, at good old Turkey Run State Park, I saw some pretty massive colonies of this hanging out on the riverbanks. So again, tying back into that habitat of it being a fan of the riparian zones. But what we're going to talk about right now are some of the floral details of this grass. Okay, so get a nice good look at those flowers. Aren't they beautiful? Absolutely. So what in my opinion is the most diagnostic feature about these flowers, you're gonna have to ignore that chainsaw in the background. I'm really sorry, but I can't control what my neighbors do. You're gonna look at how flat these are. Isn't that incredible? These flowers are just like, they're wafer thin. So like, you're gonna note these flattened spikelets, right, which are typically Typically, they're between 5 to 15 millimeters wide. Oh, someone just knocked a tree down for sure. Anyways, and they've got more than 3 fertile florets. Okay, so and more than 3 fertile florets, right? So we've got the glooms down there at the base, and I'll throw up a picture that shows you what the glooms look like here in a second in comparison to the florets in 3, 2, 1. So there you can see what the glooms versus the florets look like. You've got the glooms all the way down at the base. You're going to want to remember for grass floral morphology the acronym God loves Poales, okay? Because the glooms subtend the lemmas, and the lemmas subtend the paleas. Okay, so GLP, God loves Poales, remember that. But anyways, so we've got some sterile lemmas below the fertile ones, and Charles Deem, the famous Indiana botanist, wrote that usually the first 2 lemmas are empty. Okay, so you've got the glooms, right? You got the glooms all the way down there at the base near where the pedicel is. And then you've got that first pair of lemmas. Those are going to be typically, and there can be more than 2 sterile lemmas, okay? But typically those first 2 lemmas are going to be sterile, and then all the ones above them are going to be fertile, which means that those are the lemmas that are actually going to bear seed. And in this grass, when it does bear seed, it disarticulates above the glooms. And what does that mean? That means that when this grass drops the flower head to spread that seed, it's going to leave the glooms behind on the pedicellate stalk. Okay? So there you have it, folks. That's Chasmanthium latifolium, formerly known as Uniola latifolia. I don't know how I feel about the name change. I haven't done enough research to figure out if that's valid or not, as I never seem to do on this channel. But yeah, a beautiful grass. And while it might not be 100% native to your area, for example, in Deem's Grasses of Indiana, I'll show the range map for that real quick. As you can see, it's mostly situated in southern Indiana, about the Ohio River Valley. I think that's the Ohio River Valley. My geography's not that great. But anyways, but it's a lovely native grass, and it's probably going to undergo some range expansions as a result of the fact that it is so popular in landscaping. But it is quite a good grass to throw in your lawn because it's beautiful. It's got a preference for shady spots, and it's actually a host plant for quite a number of butterflies. So absolutely wonderful. And it's a great plant to throw in a bouquet, because I've done that as well. Because, you know, I'm just an absolute sap, aren't I? But great plant to throw in a bouquet, great plant to have in your yard in general, and just an awesome grass. So there you have it, folks. Chasmanthium latifolium.